Sabrina Salvati, how are you doing?
I'm doing
Can you
great.
hear
Thank
me?
you so much for having me on, Amanda. Yeah, I can hear
Okay, we
you.
have a delay. We have a delay. This internet Sabs is gonna kill me, but okay, I'm gonna work through it. I'm very irritated this morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Okay, I wanted more, so give me more. How are you doing? Beyond great. The
I'm
bang
doing
is
great.
banging per usual.
I've just been really busy this year. So I'm looking to cranking out the rest of December and going into 2026 with a bang.
I want to do the exact opposite, but I hear you, girl. I hear you. I want to go into 2026 with the ease of a lazy river at a water park in the Midwest.
Oh,
That's what I would
that's
like.
that's different.
Just I'm trying to ease in. I don't want no bangs. I don't want no hard impact, nothing. Okay. But you have been working so hard, and I want to start off immediately with talking about your documentary. And I understand the documentary struggle. So let's first let people know about the documentary before we get into the Jasmine conversation. And this documentary is called Erasure. I mean, sorry, Removed Black Erasure in Boston. So I want to play a little clip, or the trailer, I should say.
Yes, Boston is home to winning sports teams and elite universities. But some might say that there are two Bostons.
If you look at City Hall, no one's talking about that specific racial and historical component that Black people are the ones that are being removed.
There's a huge significant difference in lived experiences, and we know this because of the wealth report. We're at $8.
This whole plan of gentrification isn't a new concept. In every city you go into in the Northeast, they kept moving Black people out of the inner city. So it's a plan. It's been in place for a long time.
While the displacement isn't as bad as 1963, it hasn't gotten much better now.
It's by design that they've created spaces where we are no longer seen anymore. They're wiping us out one community at a time, and they're getting away with it. This is gentrification. Franklin Park has been a place where we have built community, and all these things are at risk.
Why is the mayor willing to throw herself on this sword, do or die, for this project? It's not about soccer. It's about the additional profits that can be made in this entertainment complex. It's a disrespect that you would take public parkland and then give it to a private group to control it. And this project is Emmett Till's mama pulling back a curtain. And if people don't look at what's behind that curtain, it's coming to them.
Yes. People are doing documentaries. So, Sabrina, I don't know if you know this. My father ain't shit, but he is from Boston. So I do have a connection to Boston. He is from Roxbury. Yes. So, when I was like, you know what? I really need to know more about Boston. And this is a great place to start. So tell us what made you decide to make, because honestly, you have so much information and knowledge that you could have made 11 different documentaries. What made you decide to do this one first?
Yeah, so I moved to Boston in 2011, so I've been here for a long time, actually. And one of the things that I've noticed over the years is the rate of gentrification and the way that it has continued to increase. And there was a group of activists that reached out to me, and they said they wanted to have a meeting with me to tell me about a new project, which is White Stadium, which is located inside of Franklin Park, that is also leading to more gentrification. So during that meeting with them, that's when I started to realize, this may need to be a bigger project. Like, I can bring you on the podcast and you can talk about it, but I think we really need to go through the history so that people understand how we got here. And so they were all for doing a documentary. So upon talking to them, I reached out to other residents, other people that grew up in Roxbury, grew up in Dorchester, and they told their stories as well. And ultimately, what we ended up doing is that we identified 4 harms that is leading to the erasure of Black Boston. And those 4 harms are gentrification, redlining, urban renewal, and mass incarceration, because it's different components that led to this. It's not just about White Stadium. The uniqueness of White Stadium is that we've seen this happen before in cities across the country, where the city decides that they want to build a new entertainment complex, whether it's a new ballpark, a new football stadium for professional teams, or a team that may be already there, but they want a new stadium. And I think sometimes what people don't realize is oftentimes those new projects end up replacing Black neighborhoods. Ultimately, they go to places where the land is relatively cheap, more affordable, so that they can build there. And that's where a lot of the gentrification comes in. So with that particular project that's happening right now in Boston, those investors that said, we're going to bring this women's soccer team to Boston, they have already started buying property around that area. So ultimately, this is what leads to part of that erasure. But I think what a lot of people don't understand about Boston in particular, if you've never been here, the Black culture here is not promoted. Most people, when they think of Boston or they come to Boston, there's a lot of Irish American culture that is promoted, but there are Black people in Boston, but they're just not, it's not put out there that way. And what I have seen over the years, if you look at the data, is that Black people are leaving Boston. They're leaving because of forced displacement, because their apartment buildings are being bought by investors, so they have to leave. They're leaving because the cost of living continues to increase. And so if you look at the data, it shows that for the first time in history, Black people are more concentrated outside of Boston instead of in Boston. So we're in places like Brockton, Avon, Randolph, Taunton, further and further south of the city, which also means that we have a longer commute. And it's not unique to Boston, right? So this happened in Chicago. This happened in San Francisco, Detroit. When we get into the urban renewal part of the film, we do dive into these plans to build highways in Black communities that were never built, but housing was torn down because those highways were going to be created. So Milwaukee is a good example of this, how they displaced an entire Black community because they were going to put a highway through the city that they never put. So of course, they find ways to get you further and further away from the places that are productive. We had a screening at Roxbury Community College. We're going to do a couple more screenings. And then right now we're getting prepared for film festivals. So far we've received a lot of praise. I'm actually really surprised. But a lot of people have reached out. I think just because of the topic, it can be kind of, it can be exactly right. And and some people were like, well, what about us? What about this? And I'm like, you don't have a net worth of $8. Black people do. And so I think it's important that people understand how that came to be in Boston, how it came to be that the average Black family has a net worth of $8 and the average white family has a net worth of over $250,000. That is a big disparity. What I found filming this documentary is that Black communities in particular constantly deal with disruption. And part of that disruption has been decisions that have been made by the city.
You should check out an interview I did with an architect, Adam Paul Susanek. He has a page called Segregation by Design. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I read an article about that.
Yeah, he came on the show and it was like so super informative, but also just really clear as day, the ways in which highways are used to create segregation. And it's not done in community conversation. It's done, as you said, over the heads of people. It's done behind closed doors, which is why it ends up being so imperative that people are involved locally in the way things are happening, right? I mean, we just simply don't, as a nation, have that practice. We kind of vote for people even if we do it all, and then we just go on our merry way. But I mean, to be fair, it's not a merry way. Like you said, when you have an $8 income, like that doesn't leave you time to really fight, because you're really trying to just pay for the basics of existence. So how was your process of making the documentary? Because that is its own journey.
I thought it was a great experience. I'll tell you, the easiest part about this were the interviews. Like, a number of people were happy to participate, to be a part of it. So I thought that was going to be the most difficult part, like getting people who actually want to be in the documentary. But that was the easiest part, because they said, we need to tell the story of Black Boston, and people need to know what's happening here in Roxbury. There's gentrification happening in Roxbury, in Dorchester. So I reached out to residents. They were very happy to come forward and tell what happened, and how Roxbury was once a thriving Black community. And these policies like redlining and urban renewal ultimately changed that, right? So that was the easiest part. The most difficult part was finding the success, the historical success of Black Boston. It was just nowhere to be found. I had never experienced anything like this before.
Which literally proves your point.
Right. It's, when I say erasure, it's not even just physical erasure. It's not including this information in the libraries. I went to libraries. I looked online looking for old Roxbury when people, migrated from the South to Boston. Very difficult to find. I ended up learning that Northeastern University, which is a part of the gentrification in Roxbury, by the way, I hate to say it because I went to school at Northeastern University, but they somehow were able to own a lot of the old black and white archive photos. So Northeastern University, their archive office, they own a lot of those pictures. So when I found that out, I went to their archive and I went through a number of boxes of pictures, just looking for the success of Black Boston back in the day. And even then, it was very hard to find those pictures. So I had to reach out again to other people who grew up here and said, do you have any photos of what Roxbury used to be like all the Black businesses that were there before a lot of them were burned down? And that was hard.
Whoa. Burned down?
Yes. Well, there's a story about the night that James Brown saved Boston. I'm not sure if you ever heard about that, Amanda.
Vaguely.
There were a lot of race riots during that time. And James Brown had a concert in Boston. And so when MLK was assassinated, that was part of the, So those businesses, the community was not rebuilt after that either. So there were a number of things that were difficult with this. And the comparison that I made is that Chicago, like Boston, has hypersegregation. But when I went to Chicago, I have no difficulty finding old Black Chicago photos, videos within the libraries. Very difficult here in Boston. It's almost as if, as Antonia says in the documentary, it's almost as if we were never here. That was the most difficult part.
So where do you feel, how did the people who are in the documentary, who are directly affected by this, how do you feel their response to the doc has been?
They're very proud of it. Again, like I said, I was very surprised. When we did the screening, I got a standing ovation. This is my first documentary, so I didn't really know what the response was going to be, or if people were going to be receptive to it. One of the journalists that was in the documentary, Yawu Miller, I met with him yesterday. He kind of felt some kind of way, as well, what about, the white community in South Boston? That was this place. And
it's not about them. This is
Thank
not a
you.
documentary about them. Do
Thank
that
you.
documentary, Yazul. Do that one.
I had to tell him my job is to elevate the voices of those that are not heard. There's a lot of history about South Boston. There's a lot of movies about South Boston. Their story is told. My job is to tell the stories of those who are not heard. And I also had to remind him they don't have a net worth of $8.
Right.
So it's wild to me when people come in and they say, well, what about the white people? The white people don't have a net worth of $8. It is absolutely disturbing and disgusting. And I had to explain that, me having lived in other places, my family is from Baltimore, having been in Baltimore, DC, Philly, New York, etc. When I walk through Roxbury and I see just the vacantness, like the lack of Black businesses, it's sad. I've never seen nothing like this before. You don't see that in Chicago. You don't see it. So people have been displaced. People have been erased. And the fact that it's hard to even find those photos and videos of that thriving Roxbury community, that tells you everything you need to know. Even when it comes to arts and culture, one of the most troubling things that I found is that a lot of people here, they all know who Mark Wahlberg is. They all know about New Kids on the Block. But a lot of these people don't even know who New Edition is. How is that possible?
What? They don't know
Yes.
who Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike are?
Yes. Yes. And they were more
Ralph.
successful than New Kids on the Block. But
You better
again,
say
that
that.
says something. It says something about the culture. We just had, and this is in the documentary as well, there was a New Edition day. I know. I know. There was a New Edition celebration day where they came here just recently over the summer, and the mayor, she dedicated a street to New Edition. Finally, right after all these years, they finally get like their own street. And I went to that event, and even I was like, "This is all the people who showed up for this." And it was disturbing because to me, I said, if this was New Kids on the Block, all
Oh
of
my
Boston would be
gosh.
out here. So what is the problem? Like, why is it that that's not even promoted? So these
By the
things need to be
way,
said.
they're also lovely. Like, if y'all have ever met New Edition, they're also like really nice. And the last time I was around them, Ronnie DeVoe, who was my heart and soul, Sabrina Salvati, was like, I just want you to keep going, sister. I see what you're doing and we appreciate you. And 8-year-old, 10-year-old, and 12-year-old Amanda has never recovered that Ronnie DeVoe sees her as an adult. Literally, like, I have videos where I'm referring to myself as my fake name, Robin DeVoe. I was married to Ronnie DeVoe for several years.
I can see that, Amanda. I can see you having the thing for Ronnie. I can see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a big part of it is that these things need to be promoted. And there's a lot of talent that came from Roxbury and Dorchester, but people don't even know about it. People don't even know Louis Farrakhan is from Boston. People don't know about Malcolm X. That's another thing.
They didn't even know that Malcolm X is from Boston.
That's another thing we talk about in the documentary, how Malcolm X's house is now declared a historical site. But if you see what it looks like, Paul Revere's house don't look like that. It's just, it's wild. Like, that should be everywhere. And I said, there is something to be said about this, that you don't see this in the other cities on the East Coast, where the Black culture is hidden in such a way where people are like, are Black people even here?
I mean, Boston is so racist. Like, every time I go to Boston, the only time I see Black people is when I do my shows. Like, when I'm in, like, where, like, typically, if I go to a restaurant, or if I'm just in the Boston proper and I go to a restaurant or I'm at my hotel, I don't see Black people, and I don't even see Black people working, right? It's not like, okay, we are in the private sector. No, we're literally nowhere to be found. I've more than once looked around at a restaurant in Boston and been like, hold up, are we in here? No, I'm the only Black person in here. And if you look at me fast and keep it moving, you might say I'm Latina. So I understand. Yeah. And I don't think people also, and that's what I love that you're doing this documentary, or that you did this documentary. folks still are adherent to this idea that racism only existed in the South and not as a national ethos that has been, permeated and perpetuated all throughout this country.
Right. I think a lot of people still make that mistake.
I mean, Boston was the last, Boston didn't desegregate their schools until the 70s, like the mid 70s, like not even like 71, right? Like they was holding on, and they were just as mad as these other videos that you see of Ruby Bridges and these white people, scowling, and all of that was happening in Boston as well.
There's also a famous picture of Ted Landmark being hit by the American flag by a white guy that said, "You're taking our jobs." I believe that picture was on Time magazine at some point, but that is a very infamous picture that a lot of people are familiar with. Interestingly enough, though, Ted Landmark still lives here. He teaches at Northeastern University. There's a lot of things that have happened. We do talk about the busing. We go through some of the busing photos, which are horrendous. And I think that sometimes people think that because it's the Northeast that we didn't have those issues here, or we don't have those issues here. And what I talk about in the documentary is that the type of racism, a lot of it that you experience here tends to be structural racism and covert racism, but it's still there.
Loud and clear. Loud and clear. So you are now on the trajectory with festivals, et cetera, et cetera. Where can people watch the doc?
You can watch it right now on my YouTube channel. It's called Remove Black Erasure in Boston. My channel is Sabby Sabs, so you can watch it there. It may be there only for a limited amount of time. It depends on some of these festivals that we apply to. We are reaching out to see if it can still be on YouTube. For some, it's fine. For others, we're not really sure because they don't really say. So it may only be there for a limited time, and then I'll have to mark it private and then make it public again after the festival circuit. But that's where you can find it now.
All right. Removed Erasure of Black Boston. And how long did it take for you to put this together?
We started filming at the end of April. So we moved pretty quickly for documentary standards. Documentaries can take years, from what I understand, to film.
Yes. Yes. And how do you feel like you were able to get it pushed along so fast?
I got to give kudos to my editor, Scott Hanshew. Scott was phenomenal. He has a lot of experience working in film, and he was able to move things along in a way that I wouldn't have been able to do on my own. He's the one that created a lot of the graphics, the transitions, like all of that is Scott. That's not me. I don't have those skills. So definitely shout outs to him.
All right, Scott, shout out. We got to shout out the crew. You know what I'm saying? We got to shout the below the line. All right. Well, Sabby, thank you so much. I mean, it's so necessary that we continue to make this type of work, right? In the face of the constant erasure of basically everything that is about knowledge and truth, right? Like that's what we're constantly witnessing and watching. I want to pivot because I texted Sabby this morning and I was like, now, Sabby, I was going to send you headlines, but folks just want us to talk about Jasmine. So let's get the people what they want. So first, let's watch the announcement video that Jasmine made, Jasmine Crockett, Representative Jasmine Crockett, about her run for Senate.
How about this new one they have, their new star, Crockett? How about her?
She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person.
Crockett. Oh, man. Oh, man.
She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
Sabby, I had to put on my red lip so I could align with you. I said we gotta put on our red lip. All right. Okay. First impressions of this move.
Who
Okay.
made that ad? Who made that ad? It just, Jasmine Crockett isn't running against Donald Trump. And I feel like the ad also was, I don't know, it seems to kind of be all about like her and not policy. It's just, it's giving me ego vibes, right? But ultimately she's not running against Donald Trump. So I don't know who's making these decisions, Amanda.
Well, you know, the thing about it, so at one point in time, Jasmine and I were actually really getting cool. And so there's things that I don't share conversation wise because they weren't being had in the context of her being a politician and me being someone in media or just an intellectual, right? Like they were conversations we were having off the record. So I don't share those things. Unlike my conversations that I had with Kamala Harris, which was very much in the context of you are the vice president of the United States and you summoned me here to try and confront me and you ain't had nothing to say. That being said, it has been quite disheartening to see just how quickly she has shifted from I'm a young, you know, representative that's entering the party to now believing that she is the future of the party. Based on what? Based on,
I guess because she's been very vocal against, of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Republican Party in general. She was more outspoken than others. But that's the easy part. It's easy to fight against Trump. It's easy to oppose the Republican Party. That's supposed to be your opposition, They agree on more than we realize. But where were you when a genocide started under Joe Biden? See, that's the thing.
I can tell you where she was.
Yeah, it's like you're not pushing back against people in your own party that have made decisions that lead to the erasure of a group of people. Right. Even now that Trump's in office, I mean, it's just, and we can get to the Israel part because I'm going to tell people who she really is.
Oh, but I left that for last because because I know. See, one thing about Sabrina Salvati is she's going to give you the receipts of the receipts. And that is the thing that I feel like these folks fail to realize is that there are folks out here who are tracking their choices, who are tracking their votes, who are tracking their money, and who are tracking their shifts and their changes. And they don't acknowledge that. And so they continue to move as if they're impervious to critique. But we are going to continue to be acknowledging of the necessity to critique and also to illuminate the ways in which they are misleading folks, right? Because even when we talk about Israel, and when we get there, I would love for you to also just really amplify for people the direct implications, what's the word I'm looking for? The direct effect that having a support of Israel has on the people of the United States, right? And of the people of Texas, et cetera. Because I think people think it's like a ideological difference that we're talking about, and it's deeper than that. So her running for senator, can you just lay out for people what a senator does? Because let me tell you, a lot of people don't even know what a senator does. They're just like, oh, she running for something, so let's just get behind it. But they don't even know what the role of a senator is. I'm watching people literally say to me, you know, she is in Texas, and I see people talking about her who don't even have a vote in Texas. So why are you acting like this is your business?
Okay, well, senators work in Congress, and after legislation passes the House, it makes its way over to the Senate. I mean, it's just like, so she will be voting on legislation that impacts all of us, the entire United States. And I think, I don't know what the schools are doing nowadays, but it seems like we need to teach civics to people again. Or if people have not learned civics, I'm starting to realize people don't know what some of these positions actually do. But that would be her job. I sort of see Jasmine Crockett, the same way that I saw John Fetterman when he ran for Senate years ago. And I warned people about John Fetterman, and I'm warning people about Jasmine Crockett. The sad part is a lot of people, a lot of lefties are saying she's the populist candidate. She's progressive. She's not.
No, she's not.
Jasmine Crockett has taken corporate PAC money. Jasmine Crockett
Wait.
took
I want to stop there. It's not just that she took it. It's that she said she wasn't going to take it.
Yeah.
And ran on, I don't take it, but my opponent does, and then proceeded to. I think it's important to denote these shifts in ideology that are actually not just impacting her campaign, but impact the way that we are allowing dark money to affect the way our elections operate.
Right. She was one of the people that said, look at me, I have $0 of corporate PAC money. But then she went on to take corporate PAC money, and she took more than her opponent was actually taking. She's also in the crypto club. She took like the crypto money, which Trump is a big like fan of. And I think that people need to go back in, if you can find it, go to Revolutionary Change. Jen Perlman and Peter interviewed Jasmine Crockett years ago when she was in the State House in Texas. And she was a very different person then. The moment she got into Congress, she started to change. And I remember that because that's how I learned about who she was, because they interviewed her and she was leading like this fight in the State House in Texas. And everything changed.
You remember what the fight was about?
I forget. It might have been workers. I forget. I have to go back and check.
But it was something that was actually for the people.
Yeah. And that's why she was brought on to, they were talking to her about it. So that was when I first heard about her. And I was like, okay, she's out there fighting for, for the people. But then when she got into Congress, you started to see how she really was. So she fights back against the Republican Party, but I mean, they're all kind of doing that in a way.
That's low hanging fruit.
That's the minimum. But don't get it twisted. She's not a progressive. She's not like a populist candidate. She's not even grassroots. She's another corporate Democrat. That's all Jasmine Crockett is.
Can you illuminate for people why that is not helpful to them?
Yeah, it's because of the way that they vote, right? So these candidates that are taking corporate PAC money, the candidates that are taking, whether it's crypto money, et cetera, you have to know that a lot of these lobby interest groups, they write legislation in Congress. It's not just politicians that are writing legislation. And when they write legislation, they write legislation that is going to benefit them. And then these politicians that are taking donations from them vote towards their interests. That's why they donate money to them. Jasmine Crockett isn't even running on Medicare for all. Nope. Like it's weird. And I've already seen the shift. I'm already seeing progressives and they say, yeah, she's the fighter. She's the progressive we need. Now, all of a sudden, Medicare for all doesn't matter. Now, all of a sudden, Israel doesn't matter. And I'm noticing climate change, all of these things.
There's a direct quote on her site where she talks about energy and climate change. And she says, it says, generating more wind-powered electricity than any state in the nation, Texas forges into the future while also staying true to its oil and gas origins. What does that even mean? To me, what it says is, yes, I'm going to do green initiatives, which are their own scam, by the way. However, I'm also going to make sure that you oil tycoons, et cetera, are continuing to get your hands on fossil fuels that we know for a fact are ruining the actual ability for us to live on this planet. We're going to talk about it later, y'all, when I talk about what's going on in Asia with the flooding. Go ahead.
I think she's tricked a lot of people. Although I have noticed like Zed Jelani has called her out just recently and said, Jasmine Crockett's not progressive. Last night I went over the way that she is voted. So I think a lot of times people just aren't paying attention. So yeah, like she's raised her voice against Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's called out Trump. She's danced in the halls of Congress and all those types of things. But a lot of that is just a distraction. It's just performative. Yeah.
So let's talk about her voting. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about her voting record. So her voting record. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. We have a delay, so it's a little bit awkward. So.
Oh, okay. So I was just gonna say, for those who are wondering about Israel and foreign policy, most of the time she voted along with Israel. Yes. Most of the time she voted along with, what Trump actually would have wanted for Israel. Track AIPAC. I'm not sure if everybody follows this group on X, but Track AIPAC, they have a website of the candidates that they endorse. And also they list the candidates that are taking AIPAC money, etc. Yeah. They are not endorsing Jasmine Crockett. They said Jasmine Crockett did not call it a genocide. Jasmine Crockett, because of the way that she's voted, not to stop the weapons. So they haven't endorsed her. That should tell you everything.
And people are like, well, she hasn't taken AIPAC money. So first of all, I want to let you all know that there are other PACs. There are other Israeli lobbies besides AIPAC. And now that AIPAC is so outed, they are going other ways. They are finding other surreptitious ways to get this money to these people. They know that they have control over these people. At a certain point in time, Jasmine Crockett signed a letter of allegiance to Israel and to the lobbies saying okay, I'm not going to do XYZ. Now, I don't know the contents of that letter, but she signed it, right? And I remember when Jasmine Crockett went over to Israel on a trip. If you were against Israel, you're not going to go over there and then come back and still be talking the same way. I would have honestly, Sabs, I would have been okay with, I went over there, I came back. This is bullshit. Let me tell you what I saw. This is crazy. We can't get down with this. Now I'm over here with Cori Bush and Rashida Tlaib, and we are not going to allow this to happen. No, she didn't do that. She actually came back. And that was also why I distanced myself from her. Because it was oh, you're not standing in truth. And so I can't have brunch with you no more. Right? I can't hang out with you. And I also want to point out that for a lot of people, the concept of being against Israel is something, and I said this earlier, is something that is an ideology. People are in my comments saying Palestine ain't got nothing to do with us. So I want us to talk about why we are so staunchly against politicians who are in alignment with the Israeli lobby and Zionism. Because it's not simply about the fact that there's a genocide, which should be enough. It should be enough. One, can we talk about the corporate involvement?
Let's talk about the money. I don't know if everybody has looked this up, but if you get a chance, you should. You should look up to see how much your state and your city sends to Israel. And then I want you to look up the homelessness rate in your area. I want you to look at the unemployment rate in your area. I want you to see where a lot of the money is going. I can tell you Boston sent $10 million to Israel. And our homelessness rate has skyrocketed. So the money's not being spent here. That's a big part of it. Also, for someone who, I believe Jasmine Crockett was a civil rights lawyer. Doesn't she practice civil rights? Okay. Yes. So if you're fighting for civil rights, why are you supporting Israel? Because if anything, you should be supporting, the Palestinian people are occupied. The Palestinian people are oppressed. The Israelis are not occupied. The Israelis are not oppressed. They control the land, the air, and the sea. They control what food goes into Gaza. The Palestinians are losing their homes in the West Bank because of rabid Israeli settler violence that is being inflicted on them. This is a weekly thing. This didn't start October 7th, but there are multiple, you can look up the videos for yourself. Israeli settlers going into the West Bank, stealing Palestinians' home, squatting outside their homes, waiting until they go to work, and then destroying it, knocking it down. So that's what Jasmine supports. People have to understand that. When you say I support Israel and we need to stand with them, you're supporting all of that. So as a civil rights lawyer, that doesn't make any sense. It's very clear to me that Jasmine got the talk, and you got to be careful. Because some of these politicians, to Amanda's point, no, they're not taking AIPAC money, but they're still voting along with Israel's interests. So it's not just enough to say, let's look them up on Open Secrets and see if they're taking money from AIPAC. And to Amanda's point, there are other groups. There's Kufi, there's J Street. So,
there's
and
also
that's
individuals, right? There's also
Right.
individuals like this Edelman lady, right? So like James Tallarico, who is also running and who others will say is another option. He's getting his Israel money from an individual, from Edelman, who also sent buttloads of money to Donald Trump. And this is why, Sabby, I'm like, I need people to understand that we are watching a false flag operation in there being opposition between Democrats and Republicans. And Sabby talks about this all the time on her show. Right. At the end of the day, they're all funded by the same people. And that is who you are supposed to be fighting against, right? And it feels like people just refuse to want to acknowledge that. They just want to get caught up in the battle royale between these two sides, instead of acknowledging that these two sides are being paid by the same people. So that's obviously who the issue should be with. Now, when we talk about Black folks, right? And okay, people are like, well, you're not going to get people to not care about her because of Israel or Palestine, because those aren't Black folks. Israel is behind what's going on in the Congo. Israel is involved in providing arms to the members of the RSF in Sudan. Israel has 100% been a part of the overthrow of Libya. These are all Israel provided weapons to destabilize Haiti. So when we talk about these issues of, oh, well, those aren't Black people, so we don't care. Tell me when you all start to care that all of this also comes back, because what's also happening is we have all of these cop cities that are in place to become the headquarters of ICE, which is going to essentially become the IDF, and they're going to be suppressing yo town and yo city. And you have Black Democrats like your man's in Atlanta who are riding with that. And they're going along with this Zionism mindset as if it is not going to affect Black people.
The NYPD is directly aligned with the IDF. That whole boot on your neck thing. That whole boot on your neck thing. Where do you think this works together, right? So I was just talking about last night about the AI and intelligence that's happening. Israel is advancing their technology, especially when it comes to AI. They're already making statements, and people need to pay attention to what's happening out there. They're already making statements that Americans who don't want to agree with Israel, we should treat them like people in Gaza.
You saw,
and
I have
that's who people are supporting. 1,000 pastors just went to Israel to be brainwashed by Benjamin Netanyahu to go back and take this message to their congregations that you need to get your people in order to support Israel, because they're losing support among the young right-wing Christians now. And that's a problem for them. So
you got to ask yourself,
yeah.
Well, I'm trying to get it over here. You got to have you seen the AIPAC video?
Yes.
Let's show that real quick for people, because this is nuts.
It's the start of a new day, and thanks to Israeli innovation, our journey will be made easier. I'll show you the sky. Our connections clearer. No looking down. Our food more plentiful and nourishing. Open your eyes. Our oceans cleaner. Far from the ground, no looking down. Our communities safer. When you come across that mountain and the top seems out of reach. Our loved ones healthier. Put you right back on your feet, and we can take it one step at a time. We can take it one step till we get it right. From morning to night, whatever the challenge, Israel is America's partner for a better future.
That should deeply frighten people.
Oh.
That should deeply
frighten people.
This is also Israel. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I just want to remind people, when you think about the things that we don't have here, I want to remind you Israel has universal health care.
Yep.
Israel has free university. But
Yep.
the same politicians who stand up in front of you and tell you that that's socialism and we shouldn't have that here, support and ally with Israel that has those things. Make it make sense.
How does that add up? And people think that just having a Black person somewhere is advancement, is progress. If that Black person is not operating different than the system they're in, they are simply just advancing the system.
Yeah. And that's not just Jasmine Crockett. That's Cory Booker. That's Hakeem Jeffries. That's all of them. They're not there to work for you. They're there to work for their donors. That's why the money is involved. So yeah, I know, I get it. People want to have representation, but what kind of representation are we actually getting? The fact that the Congressional Black Caucus aligns with Israel and prioritizes Israel. I bet you didn't know, unless Amanda told you. Did your representatives that are part of the Congressional Black Caucus, did they tell you they went to Israel? They took a big old trip over to Israel, and they kind of hush and quiet about that, right? So that's their priority. So when you look around in your district and you look around, you wonder, why isn't our communities improving? Why? They're not fighting for you. They decided that a long time ago. I hate to say it, but the reality is we have a lot of, it rhymes with spoons. We have a lot of spoons in Congress. We really do. We got a lot of spoons in Congress. These people, it's fake representation. They're not there to really help you. You see how quickly they can bring forward legislation to prioritize Israel. But how dare you come to them and say, hey, I want legislation for this for the Black community. Oh, now's not the time.
I mean, Kamala said straight up, I will not make laws that are just for the Black community. Not laws. I will not bring forth legislation and bills that are just for the Black community. I won't do it.
But she'll do it for Israel.
Oh, hell yes. Now, and in providing greater context for people as to what the issue with Israel, let me show you the type of conversations that happen in Israel.
בגלל ביטול העבדות החוקית, אז נוצרו מגרעות עכשיו, כי אין אחריות על הנכס הזה. בעזרת השם זה יחזור.
This is a rabbi in Israel who is a well-known person in the community. He is not just like some random person talking about why slavery should return. The non-Jews will want to be our slaves.
זהו הרב אליעזר קשתיאל.
He is the head of the Sons of David Religious Seminary in
ראש ישיבת בני דוד בעלי.
הכי טוב להיות עבד של יהודי.
He goes on to say that being the slave of a Jew is the best.
הם שמחים להיות עבדים, רוצים להיות עבדים.
הישיבה הזו מיועדת לבוגרי המכינה הקדם צבאית.
This is a military prep school, and he is a teacher there. It is the most well-known and most
והיוקרתית בציונות הדתית. רבים מהם מגיעים אליה לאחר...
Most of his students are former soldiers. I also want to point out that Israel passed more than 30 laws since October 23, that deepen their system of apartheid and repression. So how can you genuinely, as a civil rights lawyer in 2025, continue with unflinching support, continue to have unflinching support? Now, one thing I want to say, Sabs, is that I want to ask you, do you feel like this is enough of an issue to render her campaign dead in the water?
Well, I mean, people are going to vote for her regardless, but I will say this. She has to get through the primary first, which she might go on to win the primary. But do I think she's going to win in the general? I mean, it's Texas, most likely not. I just read an article earlier this morning that said that the Republican Party actually elevated. They want her in the race because they believe she'll be the easiest to beat. It's the Pied Piper strategy. Yeah. Sorry, the sun is coming in. I don't know.
You bring it in the light. Oh, you're not used to doing
like
the show during the day.
Yeah. Looks like a halo's coming in like, oh.
I'm with it. I'm with it. Take us to the light, Sabs. Show us the light.
Oh, man.
Well, one thing I will say is I appreciate not being alone in speaking the honesty about these folks and the truth about their existence as political figures. I think people are so wrapped up in celebrity that they forget that these are lawmakers.
Yeah. Yeah. And they'll be making laws that impact our lives. So people need to think about that. And as much as I've been ranting about healthcare over the years, that's another thing. Why is Jasmine Crockett not even supporting Medicare for all?
She's supporting the ACA, which is not the same.
No.
So, they're going to continue to say that we're traitors. So go us.
I will say, I'll say this. I think that people need to focus on building dual power. I think you need to stop making the politicians your priority and making them their hero. I don't think that needs to be the thing. A lot of times people are like, who should we look towards to get in Congress, to get into the House, to get into the White House? And at the end of the day, you need to look towards the people that are around you, your family, your community, yourself. Look in the mirror, and you need to work on building dual power. You can do this through mutual aid, which is something that I do, and all of us at RBN, we do mutual aid. You can do that, direct action, organizing. I mean, I'd say look at what the Black Panthers did. They weren't sitting around waiting for the government to these politicians to do the right thing and help them. They decided to help themselves. So I think that's where that fight is really going to be. There's a number of documents that you can look up to learn about dual power. And I think that's what you need to focus on, and I'm not to say that electoral politics isn't a tool that you can't use in your toolbox. You can, but it's not the only tool.
At this point, Sabby, I believe less and less that it is an actual tool to use in the toolbox, because I just haven't seen any evidence of it being useful yet. I think theoretically,
I think on the local level, I have seen Green Party members and independents get into some of these local seats, these local positions, and do well with that. So I think, I don't know, maybe people need to look a little bit more locally. I encourage more people more independents, or if you're your third party, we need more of those people running for these local races, mayor, school board, city council. And it's so interesting. Everybody just looks for Congress, like the congressional races. What's happening in your community? Who's on the city council? City council controls the budget. So start looking into those things. City council is
how you have a arena getting built in your hood.
There you go. So, I mean, what we're talking about, with the stadiums and the gentrification, that's not coming from Congress. That's not coming from the White House. That's happening locally.
Yep. It's happening locally. And I want to also point out, though, the corruption is also happening locally. So I just also want to make that clear. We're not saying that locally is fair and federally is not. None of it is fair at present. There's corruption in all of this. We are seeing different states that are making the move to remove dark money from their elections. Dark money meaning money that cannot be tracked. However, it's really important that we understand that politics as it exists in the United States, and in many places, by the way, is a system of corruption. It's the same way that policing is a system of harm. So the system itself is made a certain way, and people actually go into that system knowing that many times to exploit that. Okay. So that is something that you can, on a local level, have a lot more teeth to fight than on a federal level, because these people live in your neighborhood. They are there. You see them, and you can be on their head and on their neck every day that you see them. Why are you taking money from such and such? Why are you doing such and such? We are not going to handle that. I also want to point out, though, that the Zionism is also going to the local level. We are seeing Zionists, like you said, having meetings with local leaders in churches and pastors. They're also meeting with mayors and giving them incentive to create legislation that suppresses challenging of Israel, that suppresses BDS, etc. So when you see this much effort of something, you should absolutely be having a red flag say, hold up, I need to be paying attention to this. And I see so many folks that are saying, I don't know what Zionism is, so it must not be that important.
I would say the fact that you don't know what it is the reason why it is that important. They don't want you to know about certain things. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I had this conversation with my viewers, even when it came to the biblical perspective, and I was breaking this down for them as well. As I'm like, you guys got to understand, again, in the Bible, when Jesus was talking about Israel, I will call you Israel, he was speaking directly to Jacob. And it's all these things that, because I grew up in the church. So it's all these things that I'm just like, no, that's not really what the Bible says. So for all of you who do go to church, get ready, because they already said they want 10,000 more pastors to come to Israel and bring that message back to their congregation. So was your pastor absent last week? Maybe he might have been on that trip, because that list was confidential. I think if you follow Gen X Girl on X, she is trying to post the list. She's trying to get the list of the names of everybody who was there. But again, why did it need to be confidential? Why can't people know if their pastor is participating in the propaganda? So there's another way. And we can go into this another time, but there's part of the reason why you don't see me in the church today. Because I'm not going to sit up here and listen to somebody who says, we're Christian, but it's okay to kill these kids in Gaza. No.
You better stand on it, Sabs. I do want to show the video of the pastors, though, because it's very disturbing to me, and I just think it's important before you go.
I'm here to be part of the Ambassador Summit taking place this week. We're here for 7 days to support Israel and to take what we learn back to our people back home. I believe it's imperative that we educate the younger generation on what it means to stand for Israel.
There's a lot to learn, a lot to be present for, and that is what I expect to do.
I'm on fire to spread the good news about Israel.
Israel's God's.
So again, we need to point out this is black, white, all flavors. All right.
Place Jerusalem is God's place for God's people, and we need to support them.
Reverend Johnny Moore.
We are here to answer a call. Our faith requires action when darkness rises. And here we are, where the promises of Abraham still echo, where the psalmist's songs still rise. And we gather here on this closing afternoon to declare a spiritual war.
We welcome everybody that...
Okay, I'm not going to show the whole thing, but the man just said we're here to declare a spiritual war.
Yep.
I'm going to text you later. Sabs, congratulations on the documentary. You all please go to Sabby Sabs YouTube so that you can watch the documentary Removed, Erasure of Black Boston, and support independent creators, support independent journalists, support them, not only because we not getting paid from anything other than your grassroots support, but also because you deserve to know the truth. And there are people out here who have dedicated our lives to bringing that to you. And if you care about the truth, then you got to care about us. So thank you so much for joining us and for enlightening us as you always do. And also remind people when they can check out your show.
Yep. So I'm live on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday evenings.
You in there, Sabs. Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, y'all. You get 3 days a week to check out Sabby Sabs, who will be checking all of the facts and giving them to you. Thank you again for finally making it on the show. And we shall continue on, my red lip sister.
Hey.
Have a good one.
AmandaLand.